Okay, so we need to get something clear here, because my name is Manime Matt for a reason. Come on, let's just be honest with each other. Manga Matt has a much nicer ring to it, but I'm not named that for a reason. That reason is obvious. I don't read manga. So much so that at Anime Expo last year, I was doing a media gig for Viz Media, and they asked me what my favorite manga was. And Jeff from Mother's Basement, who just happened to be there, started laughing out loud. I've built a reputation, and god damn it am I going to maintain it. However, something strange happened about a month ago. An idea of sorts passed through my mind. I thought, you know what? I should read the manga to My Hero Academia. I mean, I am sort of one of the My Hero Academia guys, and getting ahead on the manga would be a clever way to prepare for when the next season comes out. However, I have an irrational fear of manga. Not because I think that they are bad, but because I've seen what they do to people who read them. Don't take this the wrong way, manga readers, but every time I talk to one of my manga reader friends and talk about a show that they already read a manga for, I often get this response. Oh yeah, I haven't really watched the anime yet, but once it's done, I'll probably binge it if I remember. Which makes me really depressed, because that kind of makes it impossible for us to talk about the anime. Because no matter what I say, I'll always inevitably end up with a response of, well, I don't really know about in the anime, but in the manga, this happens. And that's not really a conversation, and even worse, that almost always leads to spoilers. Isn't that right, Melvin? Actually, I don't even know if Melvin still watches my videos anymore, but if you still do, let me know down in the comments, okay, bro? No, but I just don't want to become one of those guys who avoids watching anime because I know in the manga this happens and I'm afraid they won't adapt it. So instead of reading the My Hero Academia manga, I came up with a plan. I'm going to read the manga for an anime that I care a little bit less about, Gleipnir, and then give it a month or so to sink in and see how it changes my experience with the anime and what my experience with the manga was overall. And I will be upfront with you guys, some of my opinions on manga has definitely changed. However, some of my fears about reading manga have definitely been confirmed. So let's first start with the manga reading process. I read like 60 some odd chapters in roughly 2 days, so that's pretty nice. I basically caught up with the manga in 2 days, and frankly I probably could have done it in one if I'd really tried. Binging manga is surprisingly easy, especially when compared to anime. However, I did find a minor problem right off the bat, and that's finding legal ways to read said manga. I feel like there is significantly less infrastructure for manga online than there is for anime. I don't know, it's definitely possible that I just overlooked a way to legally read this manga online, but frankly, I looked for a while and I couldn't find a legal source. So yeah, finding ways to legally read manga online is hard, in particular for niche manga like these. So you're probably gonna have to venture into some shady websites. Now that's obviously not the manga's fault, since I'm sure dedicated fans will gladly buy hard copies, but you know, I'm personally a pretty impatient guy, and I don't know about you, but Amazon really hasn't been maintaining that 2-day free shipping. I don't know, it's something about it being non-essential. But these are just mere minor gripes that I have with how things are set up. You see, I'm a huge connoisseur of consuming content, so long as it's incredibly engaging, just like my incredible videos. I would personally be willing to go to some pretty extreme lengths in order to consume extremely good content. However, in conjunction with that, there's a certain thing that really grinds my gears. And that's mostly when something hurts my experience with consuming said content. Sorry, it's just that for some reason I'm really struggling to describe what I mean here. I greatly prefer a piece of content that is moderately engaging over a piece of content that is super engaging and then pulls you out for a minute and brings it back in. And that's kind of what's been killing my experience with manga so far. You see, with the prior knowledge I had from the manga through my watch of the anime, I found myself consistently getting pulled out of the story and thinking, well, technically in the manga, X happens. And I'm gonna be real with you guys. For some reason, that pisses me off way more than what should be natural. And trust me, it's not voluntary, I don't mean to do it. I keep wanting to be invested and into the story of Gleipnir, but every time something doesn't match my expectations or is told in a slightly different order from what I remember, I can't help but bring myself out of the story. I think a perfect example is with the fight of Sanbei. Sanbei in the manga is this huge, towering figure that seems impossible to kill. However, in the anime, he's only like slightly bigger than Shuichi. This was like one of my favorite scenes in the manga, and frankly, it probably could have been one of my favorite scenes in the anime. But I got so distracted because I read the manga that I couldn't help but have that extra degree of separation from the anime. I don't know, man, I just have this weird mental block and it really pisses me off. But not all is bad. I think the anime actually took some liberties with the manga, and that kind of made me appreciate the anime just that little bit more. For instance, in the manga, when Chihiro is crushed inside of Shuichi, it was placed at the end of a chapter, and I genuinely thought they killed her character off. I mean, it was pretty heavily inferred. They cut away after this scene, and it actually kind of pissed me off that they were basically creating this character whose only purpose in the manga was to be cute and then die to make you feel like shit. However, in the anime, they don't cut away right after she's crushed, and the transformation scene happens in the exact same episode. In other words, the people adapting the manga to anime realized that people probably weren't too happy with how that was handled in the manga. So they took some liberties with how the scenes were placed and made it, in my opinion, significantly better. That scene didn't actively piss me off in the anime like it did in the manga, and having that prior knowledge actually made me appreciate the anime that much more. There is one other thing that I really do have to admit that I enjoyed about reading manga, and that's this idea of closure. You see, a lot of anime are never finished. It's just that way by design. Anime usually only get a season or two at most, and very rarely do they ever wrap up or even get very far in their world's overall story. That's a pretty nice thing about the manga. I'm gonna be real with you guys, Gleipnir's manga really does pick up. The eccentricities and the details of how the world is being built and just how much further all the characters get is so nice. It's obvious that where I am now in the manga will never make it to animation. So in that way, I'm glad I get to know more about Shuichi's world and figure out what exactly is going on. So am I going to move on with reading the manga to My Hero Academia? No, absolutely not. My Hero Academia is a very popular show and probably one of those few anime where all the manga will eventually be adapted to anime. And look, this is completely just personal preference, but I like the anime medium more than I like the manga medium. It's just the way I was born. I want to protect my viewing experience of the My Hero Academia anime, and if I have to forego reading the manga to do it, so be it. However, I have changed in some ways after reading the Gleipnir manga. Now, if a smaller show like My Life as a Villainess wraps up for the season, I think I will go read the manga. After all, it's very unlikely that that niche of an anime will get a second season, and I do want to know more about that world. I also think another solution for me personally is reading the manga alongside the anime or slightly behind. After all, I do believe that manga can usually go more in depth and you could probably understand the world or at least see it through slightly different eyes. But then again, that's probably just the exact reverse problem I was having with viewing anime, but maybe I'll take it less personally because it's not anime and it's manga, and I care more about anime and not so much manga. Sorry, once again, that's just personal preference stuff. And that's kind of it. Now you guys can kind of see my perspective on manga now. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree, or if you have a similar problem or the exact opposite problem. Also, if you're watching this video right as it goes live, I am live on Twitch as well, so come join me while we play some weeboo games. I don't know what games we'll be playing, but we'll figure it out when we get there. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Matt. Make sure you guys stay man and go watch that goddamned anime.